Okay, dear students, so today we will learn about the basic timing concepts and applications of IC555 timer. IC555 timer finds wide range of applications in electronic industries in case of making of audio frequency generator circuit, analog frequency meters, temperature measurement circuit, voltage regulators, modulation circuit, DC to DC conversion circuits. RC555 timer has following features. So it can be operated by using power supply of as small as 5 volt. Frequency of waveform signal generated can be controlled by external RNC components. Time period of the signal obtained from 555 timer can have frequency as small as from few hertz to up to several kilohertz. Operation of 555 timer is very stable against the change of temperature. Maximum power dissipation is 600 milliwatt. IC555 timer is used as a driver's IC in many electronic devices. So this is the internal structure of IC555 timer. IC555 timer is 8 pin IC. So pin number 1 is connected to ground, pin number 2 is used as a trigger pin, pin number 3 is output pin, so we take output at pin number 3, pin number 4 is the reset pin, so this pin number 4 is connected to VCC in order to enable the circuit, pin number 5 is control pin, pin number 6 is threshold pin number 7 is discharge pin, and pin number 8 is connected to VCC. So IC555 timer is an 8 pin IC. Let us now see the internal structure of this 8 pin IC555 timer. So it can be seen that IC555 timer comprised of this many components. So let us see one by one. So it consists of three 5 kilo ohm resistances which are connected in series. It consists of two comparators. It consists of one RS flip flop, and it consists of one discharge transistor. You can see this is one R and one C, so this is connected externally, and this R and this C determines the frequency of the output signal generated at pin number 3. Let us see the basics, few basics about before actually starting with the applications of IC555 timer. So if you have three resistances connected in series, say R1, R2, R3, so what will be the voltage at point B? If the power supply is VCC, so the voltage at point B can be calculated by using voltage divider formula, so which says that voltage at this point can be calculated as uh, R3, the resistance across which we are measuring the voltage, so R3 divided by sum of all the three resistances R1, R2, R3 into VCC. So in case of IC555 timer, the three resistances they are having the values of 5 kilo ohm. So R1 is 5 kilo, R2 is 5 kilo, R3 is 5 kilo. So if you substitute R3 5 kilo, 5 kilo here, 5 kilo here, 5 kilo here, so VB, that is the voltage at point B, comes out to be 1 by 3 VCC. So voltage at point B is 1 by 3 VCC. Let us now find out voltage at point A. So voltage at point A can be calculated again by using voltage divider formula. So it is the resistance R2 plus R3 in the numerator divided by sum of all the three resistances connected in series. So R1, R2 plus R3 divided by R1 plus R2 plus R3. So if you substitute all values of R2, R3 and R1, so VA, that is voltage at point A, comes out to be 2 by 3 VCC. So if there are three resistances in series connected to the power supply VCC, then voltage at point A can be written as 2 by 3 VCC, and voltage at point B can be written as 1 by 3 VCC. Comparator. So if this is the block diagram of the comparator, so if voltage at non-inverting terminal is greater than voltage at inverting terminal, output goes to the positive saturation or output becomes high. Let us now see again, if voltage at non-inverting terminal is greater than voltage at inverting terminal, output is high or output goes into saturation. On the other hand, when the voltage at non-inverting terminal is less than voltage at inverting terminal, output goes to the negative saturation or output is low. Let us now see a few basics about the RS flip-flop. So this is the block diagram of RS flip-flop. We know that RS flip-flop can be constructed by using two interconnected NOR gate or two interconnected NOT gate. So let us see the truth table of RS flip flop. So if R is 0, S is 0, output Q gives the last state value. Whatever was the last state operation, it gives the same value here. If R is 0, S is 1, so when S is 1, Q becomes 1. It sets the flip flop. When R is 1 and S is 0, when R is 1, S is 0, so Q becomes 0, it resets the flip flop. When R is 1 and S is 1, output is uncertain, it goes into the forbidden state. So in case of IC555 timer, we are using only these two conditions. So when S is 1, flip flop sets. When R is 1, the flip flop is reset. So we have completed the basics. Let us now try to understand the stable operation of the 555 timer. Now where it is used? So stable multivibrator is a self-oscillating rectangular waveform generator circuit, and it does not require any external trigger input signal. A stable circuit, as a stable circuit oscillates on its own, so it is also called as free running oscillator circuit. An unstable multivibrator can be designed by using resistance and a capacitor to IC555 timer. The time during which the output is either high or low is determined by externally connected resistance and capacitor. So this is the circuit diagram of IC555 timer connected in the unstable mode. So we can see these are the three 5 kilo ohm resistances. We have already have seen how this 2 by 3 VCC comes here and how 1 by 3 VCC comes here. Let us now try to analyze the operation of this circuit. Initially, when the power is just switched on, there is no charge on the capacitor, so voltage across the capacitor is 0 initially, and we also assume that when the power is switched on, Q is 0 initially. So when Q is 0, so base of this discharge transistor is very low. Since base is low, so base emitter is not forward biased, so this transistor is not conducting. Again I repeat, so let us assume that Q is 0. So when Q is 0, base of the transistor is 0. So since base is 0, base emitter is not forward biased. Since it is not forward biased, so this transistor is not conducting. As this transistor is not conducting, so current from this VCC starts flowing from RA, RB and through the capacitor, and therefore capacitor starts charging. As capacitor charges through RA and RB, the voltage across the capacitor increases exponentially. So as the voltage across the capacitor increases, here voltage at pin number 6 also increases, voltage at pin number 2 also increases exponentially. As soon as voltage at pin number 6 becomes slightly greater than 2 by 3 VCC, comparator 1 gives high output. So S becomes 1 and therefore Q also becomes 1. Previously Q was 0, now Q becomes 1. At the same time, comparator 2 gives low output. So R becomes 0, Q bar becomes 0. So Q bar becomes low. As Q becomes high, base of the transistor becomes high. Now base emitter is forward biased and therefore transistor starts conducting. As transistor starts conducting, now capacitor gets path to discharge through RB and this transistor, and therefore now capacitor discharges. So we can see the discharging path of the capacitor. So capacitor discharges through RB and this discharge transistor. So this is how the capacitor discharges exponentially. As capacitor discharges, voltage across the capacitor decreases exponentially. So as voltage decreases, as soon as voltage becomes slightly less than 1 by 3 VCC at pin number 2, so lower comparator 2 gives high output and comparator 1 gives low output. Now as soon as comparator 2 gives high output, Q bar becomes 1. Earlier it was 0, now it becomes 1. Q becomes 0. As Q becomes 0, base of the transistor becomes low. As base of the transistor becomes low, transistor is as good as if it is cut off, and therefore now current starts flowing through RA, RB and C, and again now capacitor starts charging, and as soon as the voltage at pin number 6 becomes greater than 2 by 3 VCC, comparator 1 gives high output. S becomes 1, Q becomes 1. As Q becomes 1, base of the transistor becomes 1. As base of the transistor becomes high, transistor starts conducting heavily, and again as transistor starts conducting heavily, capacitor discharges through RB and C, and these cycles are repeated. We can see that the charging and discharging of this capacitor determines the time up to which the output at pin number 3 remains high or low. Let us see in with respect to the waveform diagram. So this is initially when the capacitor was charging from 0 to some point, say 2 by 3 VCC, output is high. When capacitor discharges, output is low. Again, when capacitor starts charging, output becomes high. When capacitor discharges, output becomes low. Again, when capacitor charges, output is high. When capacitor discharges, output is low. So the charging and discharging of the capacitor happens between 2 by 3 VCC and 1 by 3 VCC, and accordingly we get the output signal at the pin number 3. So the time period of the output signal can be written as sum of the TH and TL. TH is the time duration up to which output is high, TL is the time duration up to which the output is low. Now TH can be written as 0.693 RA plus RB into C. We are taking RA and RB because T high is the time during which capacitor was charging. Now capacitor was charging through RA, RB and C. Now T low can be written as 0.693 RB into C. Now in case of T low, we are just writing RB and we are not writing RA because T low is the time during which capacitor was just discharging. Now capacitor was discharging through RB and this transistor, and therefore we are not taking RA into T low formula, and therefore the total time period can be written as T high plus T low, and it comes out to be 0.693 RA plus 2 RB into C. So this is the time period of the signal which is generated at the output terminal of IC 555 timer, and frequency can be written as F equal to 1 by T. So it comes out to be 1.44 divided by RA plus 2 RB into C.